Hello and welcome back to another episode of Press Play. I am your host, Derek Gerber, and today I am so excited to have Jeff Webster, VP of Corporate Sponsorships at the new Seattle Kraken NHL hockey team. Welcome, Jeff. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Derek.
Yes, of course. You're getting a lot of screen time lately, so here's a little bit more, but we're super excited to have you on the show. Please tell the people who you are and what you do.
My name is Jeff Webster. I oversee partnerships and have the opportunity to work here in Seattle with the Seattle Kraken, the Climate Pledge Arena, our brand new Kraken Community Iceplex, which is the headquarters of the Seattle Kraken and home for youth winter sports in the Pacific Northwest, as well as the Seattle Center campus immediately surrounding Climate Pledge Arena, all kinds of fun stuff.
I love it. The Seattle area is not only beautiful, but thriving with innovation and excitement, especially with expansions like this. I get really hyped up when I hear all of the things that are affected and associated with that one brand. But again, there's not enough time to explain all the different things that Jeff can impact today. So we're here to tell that story and bring it to life. So when we're all looking at this new season coming around the corner, the new normal for everyone, the new, you're in Seattle on the cutting edge and innovative technologies and branding experiences. What would you like to share with the audience today? What has your journey been bringing this whole thing to life with the team?
Well, it's been quite a journey. That's the word I would use for sure. I started in particular nearly 3 years ago on this project, and at that time it was nothing more than a vision. We were sitting around in a conference room on Monday morning, all staff meetings with less than 20 of us, which has now become more than 200 of us a few years later, just trying to, put all the pieces to the puzzle together. At that time, we didn't have a team name, we didn't have an arena name, we certainly didn't have players or coaches or anything, but we had the fans. And we had the fans early and often, and that's really what this whole project has been about for us. They came out in droves early on and had the most successful launch in the history of any expansion team in terms of the season ticket deposits, 10,000 in the first 12 minutes, and that help us set sail on what has been a pretty incredible process of just knocking out milestones one after another over the last few years.
I gotta say, from what you're saying right now to the rest of the audience, most of the guests we've had have been around, have had a brand, get to tell that whole story. This is opening page one of a new book, if you would. While there's some definite preludes in there that got the chapters started, of course, now you get to see this come to life. And Jeff is the one who is in charge of, well, let's just say of it all. All the things come to him for this bucket, of course, which is why we're here. But I want to know more about the fan base and the stories to be told by everyone else who's going to be adopting this, right? There's so many people. The hype was there, the need was there, but there wasn't a team name. But it wasn't about the team name, and now it's the brand, and now we get to invent that story and start writing it from scratch. So what's the fan base's reaction been like so far, beyond the season ticket sales, of course? But how are people telling the story about you already?
Well, we've been fortunate, extremely fortunate, and I think you see it with the other sports teams in this town and in Seattle. They have set the bar for sure, and I think whether it's the 12th man or just how successful the Sounders have been, and so on and so forth with the other teams, the Mariners and Storm and others in this city. They have really wrote the script for us to follow, and I think from our perspective, Seattle's the largest city in America without a winter sports team, that being NHL or NBA. I think most people know the storyline of the Seattle Supersonics and what happened there, and there's still thousands and thousands of people, not just in Seattle, but in this whole Pacific Northwest region who feel that emptiness of what left us in terms of the Sonics. And there's such a home or such a history, I should say, of music here in Seattle, but never has there really been a home for music. And so the biggest issue was the arena, and we needed a world-class arena in order to welcome a new team to town. and in order to host the world-class music that Seattle deserves. And I think the fans here saw what we're doing right now maybe as a bit of a prelude to the Sonics ultimately, possibly, maybe one day soon coming back. But what we also found was there was tremendous love for the sport of hockey here. And for some of us, that was news that we maybe didn't know. There's incredibly successful minor league teams, 3 of them, in fact, in the WHL that play in the state of Washington. But we kind of relived and unearthed some history of hockey here in Seattle with the Seattle Metropolitans. They were the first team ever to win first American team to win the Stanley Cup in 1917. And you see some of those throwback jerseys floating around town here, but I think people in Seattle take such pride in, the loud factor of games here. It's something that's well reported on, and I think, just all of the hope that this new arena brought for not only the Kraken now, but the future of sports and entertainment in the city was something that really got everyone excited.
Now, that's something I want to talk about just because I'm very much into technology, into software. It's my background, but also living down the street from the new SoFi Stadium was also a huge venture. And new arenas today have miles ahead in terms of their innovation and development and new technologies available. But I want to hear from you. What excites you about the new location? What comes to life that didn't before for the fans?
Yeah, it's a pretty remarkable project. So for those who don't know, the old Key Arena, and formerly known by several other names throughout history, is located right in the middle of a park in the city of Seattle. It's adjacent to the Space Needle in the Seattle Center campus, which is also home to the ballet and the opera and the Children's Theater and the Repertory Theater and the Pacific Science Center. It's really a home for arts and culture in the city of Seattle. And the arena has been there since the World's Fair, since 1962. So the Space Needle was built that year for the World's Fair. And not quite as well known, but is the fact that the arena has been around equally as long. So what's really remarkable about this project is that the roof of the arena is actually a historic landmark. So part of the reason why I mentioned earlier Seattle's the largest city without a NBA or NHL franchise, it's not that there haven't been attempts or desires to bring those sports here. It's just been a challenge to fix the arena situation, because developers have come and they see that roof and is like, wow, how could we do this? So to put it all in a nutshell, really oversimplify it, we held up, suspended, we dug a retaining wall around the perimeter of the arena, we cemented in 60-foot tall temporary steel columns, we dug out 500,000 cubic yards of dirt. And eventually there was a 44 million pound roof that was just suspended, hanging in midair, just like a giant wedding tent would be, so to speak, out on the property of the old arena. And then underneath that 44 million pound canopy, we erected a $1.2 billion new arena, or ship in a bottle, as we like to refer to it as, and reattached the steel to the roof. The new arena, the old arena is about 400,000 square feet. The new one is about 900,000, so more than double the size. And the really unique part about our venue is when you enter, almost 90% of the seats are underground. So the arena is really, really sleek. It's low to the ground. The roof line is still exactly the same as it was back in the World's Fair. It's surrounded by trees and a park. It's beautiful, as our CEO likes to call it, the most beautiful arena in the world. So when you walk in, even if you have a suite or, to get to your seat, you go down, you go underground to get there, which that's really led to it being super intimate. The bowl has gotten closer to the ice or the court than it used to be. Sight lines are amazing. And even psychologically, if you have the highest seat in the building, when you walk in, you may only need to go up 8 steps to get there because of how subterranean the whole thing is. So it's pretty amazing. What we're really doing is marrying such great history with innovation in terms of the technology and the fan experience that makes up a modern day arena, especially one in a city like Seattle where technology is so prevalent that we need to meet the fans' expectations in that regard.
Now, how is that for a story, right? We come here for the stories, things for inspiration, of genuine help that excite us all. And I got to say, to go and completely renovate and bring the whole new opportunity to life with that beautiful stadium while suspending the old roof, it's a testament to Seattle, right? I mean, you've got the historic, but look at all the new at the foundation. And I think that's what's really nice about it, is that from the story, from the fans to the brand, and all the other relationships and cultural stories in between, this is going to be a new exciting book to write history in. And I do feel like there's nothing but attachment and excitement coming from everyone, of course. But when it gets into the partners that you have, the clients, and supporting founders, what are they most excited about? What are their upcoming campaign ideas that are really going to wow and excite us all?
Well, it's been such a privilege to work with this business community, and of course we have some of our strongest supporters are here locally, many are regionally, some are certainly national or global in terms of who we've partnered with. I think just going back to what I started saying, in that years ago when we started this whole journey, it was just a vision, and it's pretty amazing to me, really, and to our team. In fact, I mean, we spend a lot of time appreciating the fact that when some of our, for example, Symetra was our very first founding partner, and they're going on more than a 2-year anniversary with us now, and for them to have seen the vision of something that literally hadn't even broken ground yet, that had no name or logo to it, that had not had any of the success in terms of the fan interest or fan base yet, is really the foresight that they had, and us building it together was something that I think is really unique to this project. The companies and corporations and groups in this region have such a heart for sports, and I think it's because they know that the fans and the people of this region have a heart for it, and that's one of the best ways that they can connect with those potential customers and such. And our Todd Lewicki, our CEO, often likes to use a phrase just that if a partnership is done right, that they're going to borrow great equity from us, but if it's done really, really well, we're going to borrow some equity back from them also. And you look at some of the brands that we've partnered with, the Alaska Airlines, the Symetras, the Starbuckses, the Amazons, and the type of equity they've brought to us and to our project, and credibility as well to our project, has really, I think, set us apart on our journey. It's catapulted us in a number of ways. You look at our relationship with Amazon, and to their credit, I mean, of course, you start a project like this in a town like ours, who's the first company you're going to want to get in touch with is obviously Amazon comes to mind. But everyone's tried this with them before. Everyone's tried the naming rights, not just here in Seattle, but all around the world, and they've never done it. And to their credit, they were not interested in putting Amazon Arena or AWS Arena on the roof. They wanted to look at this in a new innovative way, as a way to give back, and give back locally to this community. But for them, they're always thinking big and global, and so hence comes the birth of the Climate Pledge, and being the first arena to be named after a cause instead of a corporation. And I think when you look at that, that's one of the relationships that's really taken us to new heights in terms of our story. We were going to be a sustainable venue and a sustainable franchise and organization either way, because how could you not be in a city like Seattle? But to be the most sustainable arena ever built in the world, to be the first ever net zero carbon venue in sports and entertainment, to be the first ever all electric arena and eliminate natural gas. I mean, these are things that our region can get behind, and they're things that our whole industry can get behind. Others have maybe thought of these things but didn't have the partner to help them bring it all to life the way that Amazon has with us. And that alone has been extremely rewarding for the fans, for us, for our partners, and otherwise. And just one example of how a partner has helped to take our journey and bring it to new heights.
Well, and when you go and you reach out and you have to get the word out there, we know that from a digital side, social media plays, getting the community involved, sharing these stories. Sometimes they're best served through video. But what has been your experience of bringing these stories to life for the community? How are you telling this message to the community so that they know these things? You're here, that's one of them. But in other ways in the background, can you share some stories around maybe some campaigns or maybe even some events that took place recently that got the people hyped up?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy process to have announced our team name and brand and logo and the way that we did, because we had to transition it, at least what our idea of it was, many different times based on the pandemic that was in full force by then. And so what would have normally been an in-person event with thousands of people transitioned time and time again. And in fact, what we ended up doing was a really intimate, really memorable experience inside of our, underneath the canopy of our arena. It was before we had started erecting the steel and building the arena back up underneath the hole, so to speak. And we had all the workers, thousands of men and women who were building the actual arena, come down socially distant, and we raised a gigantic, biggest banner I've ever seen, up to the rafters of Climate Pledge Arena, which was really a surreal experience. And at the same moment, and maybe some have seen it, if not, I think it's still pinned to the top of our Twitter page, but we did a brand launch video, and that was really for us. The night before, we did a teaser video that I think got people really excited. It got some buzz and some speculation on what might happen the next day. And just enough of some clues that I think it made it exciting but didn't give it away. And then that brand launch video has followed us everywhere we've gone. I mean, it's been reposted many times, especially by influencers and others around our industry. I think it was something that we were really proud of as far as being part of our brand launch, and that video lives forever. I mean, that will always be the moment that we released our team name and our brand, with that sort of intimate moment at the same time simultaneously happening inside of our arena. And there's been lots of other examples. We have over the course of the last 6 months or so to a year, we've really started messaging the arena and what that's going to mean in terms of just educating people on sustainability. And the marketing process for the arena is totally different. I mean, we have to promote shows and promote concerts and one-off events. And so how do we create a brand for the arena that lives beyond just those, transactional one-night concert shows? And some of that we've done with video as well. We have a new series called CPA Explains, Climate Pledge Arena Explains, which is really, it's in-house created animation that is telling a really unique and easy to follow story that's fun, with infographics and animations, as I mentioned, to give people an understanding of just how far we're taking our sustainability commitments, how unique they are, how proud our fans should be, and also how they can help contribute in a positive way to what we're trying to accomplish. So there's many examples. I mean, it's been incredible. Our expansion draft and you name it, that has had a tremendous amount of marketing efforts behind it, but those are just a couple examples.
And I got really excited when I heard the short animated explainer video concept, because that's the winning word here. Yes, that's what Explainify does for a living, but for the audience, the three pillars we always talk about in these scenarios are awareness, education, and revenue. Again, there are videos that you'll see online that are just about converting, and we understand that. But in this instance, we've been hearing branding, PR, building culture, building community, getting the word out, talking about the Climate Pledge Arena's green initiatives, not trying to sell somebody a hot dog, which is not wrong. I'm just saying that there are multiple purposes and branding platforms for a reason. This is why we talk about the three pillars on the show. So that's what gets me excited, is that it's not a promotional thing per se. It's about, they didn't slap their logo on it. They made it a whole initiative to get done with that. So what in your mind, how do you personally feel about the way it's been explained? And what are some of the next steps of generating more of that community knowledge and impact?
Well, I mean, community for us is at the center of everything we've done since we started this. And I think there's many examples of that. You don't have to go far to find them. I mean, you could find a laundry list of articles if you Googled Seattle Kraken or Climate Pledge Arena and community, or certain, especially diversity. That's been a huge focus and priority for us since day one. I think you look at the makeup of our front office and our organization, and we certainly look different. We look different than any sports franchise or entertainment property I've ever been a part of, and it's something I'm really proud to contribute towards, in terms of just the way that we're hiring, the way that we're looking even outside of sports for a lot of people. And so for us, community is first and foremost. It's the bedrock of our organization and our focus. So another example is our training center, our Kraken Community Iceplex, which has 3 sheets of ice. It will be the headquarters for our team. It'll be our front office day to day, where our staff goes to work, where I go to work. But it's also built for the community. So when our team isn't practicing on the first rink, all 3 rinks will be open to the public every day. It's for any of those hockey moms or dads or people out there. You've been there. It's the 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. Hourly skate rentals for academies, for youth sports, for adult leagues, figure skating, you name it. And one of the most unique parts about it, I think, is just bringing it back to community, is that when our team when our team is practicing on rink 1, all practices will be free and open to the public. So a kid on rink 2 or 3, after their practice is over, can come take their gear off and sit in the stands with mom and dad. There's 1,000 seats adjacent to our NHL rink, and they can connect with our players, connect with our organization, and really start to build the grassroots following and help grow the game here in the Pacific Northwest.
That's right. And that's an amazing story, is it's all coming back and feeding the community. And I feel like after all that time, all that buildup, all that pressure, it's being done the right way. It's not about the logo. It's about the community. It's about inspiring that next generation, if you would, and really expanding the foundation of the whole entire hockey platform altogether. And that's the right way to do it. And that's what I love, is it's genuine, it's insightful, and it's helpful, just like all video content should be. And I love that. So when it comes to next steps in the next year, what can we expect? Maybe the next couple months you have something you could share, but what's it look like going out into the future of the new normal? I guess we're still figuring out what the new normal is, but share a little bit as we start to return to in-person events and things like that.
Yeah, we have, I mentioned it earlier, there's been a lot of milestones over the course of the last few years for us in building towards what will eventually be the opening of this beautiful new arena and our team hitting the ice. We still have some milestones to knock off between now and ultimately when we welcome fans into our building. We're going to do the inaugural opening of our Kraken Community Iceplex in the coming weeks. We're ultimately going to have training camp there once our players all relocate. It's a pretty crazy experience, an expansion draft. You get 30 guys who are located somewhere around North America right now, who are, some have families and some don't, and maybe coming here on their own, but they're all uprooting their lives and moving to Seattle, and we got to welcome them, and then we got to quickly turn them into a team when they take the ice that, shortly thereafter will be playing, in the regular season NHL game. We got to launch our jersey. We've launched the design of it, but we have, just based on lead times, haven't had actual jerseys for sale. So we'll do that soon. We've got 40 or 50,000 of them on their way to Seattle for a launch to the public before long. We've got a membership launch coming up. So, there's some more increment. And Probably the largest of which of milestones is just completing construction on our arena. That's a huge priority. We've been hiring people like crazy. We've hired probably over 100 people during COVID, so many of which we still haven't met yet. It's going to be like the first day of school when we're all in this new office together and can meet the folks who've joined us virtually over the past year or so. But to answer your specific question, as far as what it looks like for fan attendance and whatnot in the fall, we have a team who's working relentlessly on that. They follow the state and the regulations very, very closely, as our staff then follows it in the meantime until we are allowed to have fans enter. We thank our lucky stars that the timing of our project has been such that maybe it's given some fans some hope, because the timing has always been sort of when we felt like we'd be on the tail end of things and be allowed to allow fans in again. It's a challenge, but one that we're up to, whether it's proof of vaccination or negative tests or whatever the case may be. Our first priority is making sure everybody's safe and filling up our arena to the best of our ability. So that's certainly the plan.
Well, that's awesome. And you have the whole audience here rooting for you too. So maybe there are a few disgruntled fans, but they can't be there yet. So everyone has to be rooting for you. No rivalries yet, but we'll be working on that, I believe. All right. So then let me ask you one more thing, right? We like to bust a couple myths on this show. And so I'm sure that during your journey, going back to the start of the conversation, this entire story, you've been over all these milestones. You've overcome all these big hurdles. You kept the old roof, went into the foundation, built a whole new foundation, and slapped that roof back on. You shared all these awesome stories. Give me a couple myths that you think that people would bust, in working internally with your team. What would you like the audience to know about those things?
Well, I think, it's from the outside looking in, we've made a lot of the right moves, and I think we've done that over the course of time by having the right priorities, by focusing on community and diversity, and putting the fans first is really always our motto. And so, with those guiding principles and some others, we've made some of the right turns. But I guess maybe, and I don't know if it's a myth, but I think from outside looking in, it might look easy. And I think that's probably the primary thing I've learned is just, a lot of us came here because of the opportunity to build something from scratch. That's the coolest part about what we're doing. It's the most motivational part of it. And but man, when you get into it, you realize building something from scratch is hard. It's the things, and it's a beautiful thing because you get to take all the lessons learned and things that you wish you could have changed or done differently in other places, and you get to truly imagine it how you want to imagine it and then set out to build it. But when you're doing it for the very first time, you don't have any historicals. You don't have, okay, this is how we did the event last year. Let's do it a little different and a little better this year. It's not, okay, we have this process. Let's improve on the process. We have nothing. And we had literally, got here and sat around a conference room table and tried to figure out all the steps along the way that are required to put together a modern day sports franchise and world-class arena, and it's a challenge, but one we've all been privileged to go on, like I said, especially in this area with these fans and all the support we've had.
So to all of those who heard, it is not easy to work in sports marketing. It takes a lot of work, especially when you got to go do it for the first time. I think that's what's exciting is even in the area with all the innovation, the resources and everything else, it still started at a table. It still started at a meeting and said, hey, I have a crazy idea. And our clients trust us with the same thing. I've never done this before. How do I bring this to life? And that's what I see here happening in real time with the new brand in an already established market. But how is it going to differ? Here's how it's happening. You just heard the story. I think that's what's fun. So the myth to bust here is that, oh, it's easy. No, it's not. There is no easy street for any business. So just think about it like that. But how you embrace the community, how you use the resources around you, how you use the resources to be genuine and authentic, That's the new normal. There's no corporate sheathing layer around that. It's us together in one meeting at a time per se here, and then just an idea that can catch fire and ignite like that. And in a couple years, you get a whole new thing that's going to last decades. This will be a story of the past, but we're opening that book right now, and I think that's what's so much fun about it. Is I just love peeling back the layers on these stories. So Jeff, I just want to say personally again, thank you so much. I've got a special heart, a spot in my heart for these types of things, of course, but for the audience, hopefully you found that fun. Again, subscribe, hit like, do all the things for us. But again, keep an eye on the Seattle Kraken as they're coming to life. That's going to be so cool in the new stadium. We're super excited for you, Jeff. Thank you again. You're welcome on in the future. But that's that for this episode of Press Play. I've been your host, Derek Gerber, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.